we have found that we can replace the OEM regulator rectifier that's you find online. Can't find it on Amazon, but on eBay, anywhere from $90 to $120 with a $10 or $15 Chinese knockoff single phase 4-wire 12-volt regulator rectifier. So I might have a kind of short and maybe a simplistic video today on the 86 YFM200 DX Moto 4. I believe I've been able to track down that the battery isn't charging because the regulator is blown. Now, a regulator for one of these OEM, I've seen anywhere from 90 to 120 bucks. It's a single phase 4-wire 12-volt regulator rectifier. What I'm thinking, I'm going to take the regulator rectifier off from here. This is the Yamaha plug, and I'm going to see if I can probe it to figure out what the wire map is here. I have a manual. Then I have a Tau regulator, and this is a single phase 12-volt 4-wire. It's just got the Tau plug on it. This is rated for anywhere from 150 cc to 250 cc. Should be good. Ultimately, I only need about 13 volts coming out of this to charge. If I can figure out the mapping, I'm just gonna cut the other one, splice these together. So let me go grab the other one, and then we'll do some probing with my voltmeter and see if this is reasonable. Because if this is a $15 regulator, so 15 versus 120, it's worth giving it a shot. There we go. That is an OEM regulator from 1986, 4-wire. There's the Yamaha plug. Comparing against the Chinese one, look at that. The holes match up, so I can bolt this right on. Well, I think I can. This might protrude a little bit. Let me take a look at this. Yeah, so it won't quite bolt on because this is taller than the OEM, so it won't quite fit under there. But I'm picturing with some good Velcro, something like that, there's plenty of clearance for me to Velcro this on and around the airbox, or zip tie it around the airbox for it to work. So let's look at this wiring. Incidentally, I have been SC1ing some of the pieces before they go back on. Oh, I should probably get that spider nest out of there. Amory would not like to see that. But it really brings back the look of the plastic. Even the mud flaps that I'm working on here. First off, manual. There's no standard way to test a single phase regulator, so you're going to want a manual for this. And I happen to have a climber. Electrical system, section 7. Charging system. Magneto to the regulator rectifier. So from the factory, it's a white and the yellow red. So the two on the outside go to the regulator rectifier. And then black will ultimately go to ground and red will go back to battery. If the map matches up, because I have different colors here, and these are going to be different because I have to imagine the red is the same, and my red on the outside is probably red to the battery, green to ground, and my yellow pink is probably the equivalent of my white and my yellow red stripe. So I'm going to have to probe this. So let's see what to probe for that might give me some ideas here. Charge coil testing. Remove seat, disconnect the alternator. We've done that, it's in our hand here. Ohm meter between the white and the black on a shaft drive. We have a white, we have a black. Look at table 1.4, see if it's in specified range. Table 1.4 at the end of the chapter. Table 5, table 4. Lighting voltages, charging current. 1.8 amps at 3000 RPM, 4.5 amps at 8000. Lighting coil. Charging coil resistance. White to black, 0.4 ohms at 10%. So one, let's test that, and then let's see if we can find... I'm making some guesses here because this is not the OEM, but I'm hoping I'll find something close to 0.4 ohms resistant, plus or minus 10% between two of these here. And that will signify I've found my white and my red. That's a resistance setting. I'm also expecting, there's probably a continuity test I can do here, but one thing at a time. Okay, resistance 2 ohms. I'm going to put it on 200 ohms. Should be good. And let's give myself a little extra play on this cap. Nothing for resistance. Now this, we believe this is a bad regulator as well. Nothing. White and black. I'm going to guess my green is equivalent to the black on the OEM. Let's see about this yellow. So I might be doing my test in a poor fashion here. That's the lowest ohms I can go to on this one, 200 ohms. Doesn't register anything. Let's see. Ignition coil, charging coil. Nope. Ignition coil. That's all down in my stator. How about a continuity test? Let's go back and see. In the beginning of the chapter. Give me something. Alright, electrical specs, charging system, 0.4 ohms, white to black. Actually a section, voltage, regulator, rectifier, testing. Okay, I like it. Put an ohm meter in the positive lead to the red wire and a negative to the white. So that's red to white. Should show continuity, red to white. Go to my diode setting there, and they just said red to white. Reading this again here though. Contains 4 wires, red, black, white, red, yellow, yep. Ohm meter positive lead, that's my red to the red. Make sure we're looking for continuity in the right direction. And negative lead to the white. Shows me nothing, no continuity. I shouldn't see continuity going backwards. Oh, it's trying to show me numbers before it goes to an open line. And for the sake of testing, I'm actually going to reverse this, and hopefully we don't see continuity revert. Look at that. It shows me continuity before it goes to an open line, but that is reversed. That's my negative on the positive. That shouldn't happen. That's allowing electricity to flow in the wrong direction, but it's not a stable reading either. Let's see if I can figure out a stable reading on this one. I'm going to make the assumption that red is going to be my positive and negative to the white. I don't know which one's the white, so we're going to probe and see if we get continuity here. Not to the pink, not to the green. I don't get continuity looking anywhere here. Gonna make it up. There was my continuity. Same kind of spike, reversed though from the green to the red. Here's consistent continuity. Pink to green. Pink to green, I have continuity. I have continuity from the green to the yellow, same thing. What do I think that means? Well, I have a picture on Amazon, and that picture gives up just a little bit here with the wiring diagram. And this is, I don't think anybody could read this because it wasn't designed to be zoomed in on. Looks like the rest of the instructions are written in Cyrillic, but it does say the red to the battery positive, the green is the ground to the battery negative, yellow and pink, AC input, connect to magneto coil. So we're getting closer. We've answered 2 of our questions on this map. We know yellow pink is coming off of our stator, our magneto. Does it matter which way? There we go. This wrap is nice and soft. I would venture the guess that the OEM is a gauge thicker than the knockoff. If this works, anybody restoring an old ATV could certainly save a couple of bucks. So decision struggle point. Coming off the regulator rectifier. Will it matter which way I do these? If this is going to work, this might be a trial and error. Alright, the best explanation I can find of this yellow and this pink wire is that one of these supplies power for charging the battery, and the other supplies power exclusively for the headlamps, the headlight and the tail light. Does it matter? They should be supplying that same amount of voltage, 13.5 to 14 volts, either to the charging system or the light. I don't think this is going to matter. I'm not finding something that tells me. I'm going to try and twist these together for a test. If it doesn't work, I'll twist the other 2 together. That on my alternator tester, I'm showing 15 volts, very high. Let me swap those wires and see if I have something different. There was one forum that mentioned exactly that symptom if I had those wires incorrect. That super dim headlight. Okay, so now showing you yellow, red stripe to pink on this Chinese 12 volt single phase 4-wire rectifier, and from the OEM harness, the white to the yellow. I'm seeing the same symptom. I put an alternator tester on here and it's showing 15 volts on the alternator tester regardless of which way I have this white wire or this yellow red wire wired to the regulator. on both ways that I wire it, my headlight is really dim, whether high beam, low beam. It gets brighter when I rev up. These are always pretty dim, and they really are dim until you rev up, so it's not the best test. When I put my voltmeter on here, with this running, it's showing 9 volts, so I've got a dead battery, certainly to start with here. I'm going to let this battery charge and keep reading, keep digging in for a bit. All right, we've charged the battery. Underneath here, we've finalized our connections with our heat solder. Zipped everything back in. I was able to get one screw in here because this was a little bit taller than the OEM. So one screw cranked in there, looking to hold that. I really should do a zip tie as well, just so this doesn't come off and bat around and rattle around. So now with a charged battery, oh, where'd it go? There we go, 13.4. Let's see if we can start this up and see what the charging voltage looks like. Interestingly, it acts like a completely dead battery. If you're watching that light, when I hit the start button, it dims. It's not out of question that we have a bad battery here. This is a brand new battery. It had been sitting on this for a while, draining pretty heavy. It'd be too bad if it was smoked, but that is a possibility. Putting 12 amps on it. Alright, so with the battery just sitting, it appeared to be charged after being on the charger at 12 amps for an hour, a little more than an hour. But there wasn't enough to even crank the motor. Put the charger on at 12 amps, crank it, start it just fine. But then with the draw, it was showing 6 volts in there, charging at 15. I'm going to swap out the battery for a known good battery, one of those little Mighty Max batteries. See if I just got a bad battery at this point. I know I had a bad regulator because in the early tests there was no voltage charging going to the battery, and I think ultimately that's what's cooking the batteries, was a bad rectifier was putting such a draw on them that they were going dead, wrecking batteries. So it might be a rectifier and a battery in this one. Alright, so I just pulled a little 4 ampere Mighty Max battery out, tied it in. We're off the charger. This battery's been sitting all winter. Neutral light nice and bright. Start button. Alright, starts right up. Headlight, classic fashion, dim as nothing. You have to swap that out for LED or something. Let's test with the voltmeter and the alternator tester. So engine running, I'm showing normal. Let's rev and see if we can get into a 14 volt range here. Nothing. Test with the voltmeter. 12.6. See if that goes up if I rev it. It does. Alright. See if I can get this not to fall over. Alright, I think we're okay. I think we have a bad battery. We're going to get a new battery. At idle, it's this battery's showing 12.6 volts. When you rev up, 13.6, maybe 13.8. So it is charging. Yeah, so I think ultimately we found two things here. We have found that we can replace the OEM regulator rectifier that's you find online Can't find it on Amazon, but on eBay, anywhere from $90 to $120 with a $10 or $15 Chinese knockoff single phase 4-wire 12-volt regulator rectifier. Splice in your plug from your Yamaha, and with some nice soldering, that's all nice and clean there. So that's what we had on this one. We had a regulator rectifier. Things that could have caused that to go bad, you know, I might have had a bad battery on here for years, that it was just fighting the charge. I don't know, but we ended up with I should get things under cover. That's a big thunder boom. So what we had a bad battery and a bad rectifier. We put a new battery on with a bad rectifier, wrecked the new battery. So now that we figured this out, we have a good rectifier. I'm gonna leave this battery on. I'm gonna order something else so at least I can ride this thing with a 4 amp hour Mighty Max. But if you ever get into working on an old Moto 4, this is handy because you don't have to spend the $100, $120. You can spend 10 or 15, splice it in, and you're back off and rolling. So that was worth the effort. Now I'm going to clean up before I get dumped on.